G'day there guys, Marky here, reporting live from Guantanamo Bay in my jail cell. I do hope that you guys enjoy today's spicy Reddit readings. I am starving. We've just got reports that a shrimp has been thrown on the Barbie. Does anyone in the comments know what that means? Anyway, with that said, I want you to sit back, relax, chuck a prawn. Anyway, with that said, I want you to sit back, relax, and enjoy today's episode. Let's go. Posted by user ThrowRanna, titled, My 22 female, boyfriend 24 male is a passport bro, and I had no idea. I've been with my boyfriend for 8 months. Things have been going really well between us up until a few days ago. A little backstory. I'm from a Central European country, and he's American. He said he settled in my country because of work opportunities. We met in a coffee house where I work as a barista. We clicked instantly and started going out a few weeks later. Everything was so good, and we had so much fun. Fast forward to last week, he asked me to help him with some documentation. I was happy to, as I know my language is hard to understand and even translate sometimes. When I was searching online on his laptop, I stumbled upon some weird websites. They were all about passport bros. I didn't even know what the hell that was at first, and basically had tips on how to settle in foreign countries, where to find a traditional bride, which country has the most beautiful women, etc. I was shocked and just so confused. I know I shouldn't have done it, but I wanted to gain some clarity, and I checked his profile on one of these websites. He had full-on conversations about Eastern European countries, European women, how easy or hard it is to take them out on dates, if it would be better to settle down in Asia instead, and so on. He decided to settle down in my country. I feel dehumanized and like he fetishized me and the women from my country. Also, our whole relationship has been built on a lie because he told me that he settled down here because he got a job offer. After I found all this stuff, I quickly took a few pictures as proof and then made up an excuse to come home. He tried to reach out a few times, but I've told him that I don't feel well, so I can't meet up right now. I can't even look at him. I feel so disgusted. Am I overreacting? How can I confront him about all of this? In the comments, Off-Brand Barbie says, if you guys live separately, I'd just text him the pictures and inform him you don't plan on being his docile Euro wife, and let him know that one thing European women and American women have in common is none of them are going to settle for a weirdo. I'd actually not even recommend showing him the proof. Then he'll just know to hide it better from the next girl. Reddit loves to think that relationships need a big finale or a dramatic gotcha. OP discovered his play and needs to just break up and separate without a word. Came here to back this up, call it done, move on. Now the OP is more wise. Oh, good God, no. A quick, I'm sorry, but on reflection, this isn't a good fit for me. I no longer wish to be in contact with you, and then move on. You're not required to say why. You inform him that you're no longer interested because you are a decent human being, and also because you want him to know that you no longer want to be in contact with him. Last thing you want is him persistently reaching out, thinking that maybe you're ill or some such. No, break it off clean and then block. That way you also have a record in case of harassment. Yeah, I would just exit the relationship. You're both young and have time to find someone who will respect you. My understanding is that passport bros want submissive women who do all the labor and likely still contribute 50% financially. It's a lose-win situation for you. I agree with this. OP, do him a favor and don't describe why you're breaking it off, if you do it at all. It's just going to make him hide it better. He's clearly motivated enough to move to a new city to objectify women. Also, passport bros is even worse than that. A lot of them do want a traditional wife in all the toxic ways, but they're also obsessed with sex tourism too. Yeah, I had a look at the Passport Bros subreddit as well after going on this, and it is kind of just weird and sad. Also, one thing that I picked up on from that is that a lot of people go to Colombia or South America / Latam, as they call it, and then they get robbed or they disappear or get kidnapped or something like that. So many comments where they're just like, stay away from Latam, actually. It's not worth the risk of dying just to get laid or have a few dates with women that are below you, basically. So that was quite interesting. But I'm just going to echo what everyone else said in these comments. You don't have to give a reason, and if you do give that specific reason, it's going to screw the next woman that he objectifies over. Much like if you tell cheaters how you found out that they were cheating, what you specifically did, you're just giving them an out for next time they do cheat, how they're going to cover their tracks better. Yes, it feels good to really suck it to them and be like, ha, I proved you're a piece of shit. But what is there to gain from that in the future? And now, on to the update. I wanted to come on here and reply to a few things and give a little update. I had no idea the last post was going to blow up so quickly and get so many comments. For this reason, I didn't go into too many details in my last post. 1. When I read his comments on those websites, it felt dehumanizing and fetishizing. They were making stereotypes about us that are either untrue or outdated. We have all kinds of women here, just like in other countries. Some like to party, some don't. Some are looking for flings, some want long-term relationships, some want to stay single and childless forever. It's not true that most of us are submissive women who obey our husbands. Try telling that to a Central European woman face to face and see her reaction. 2. He told me he only came for work, and it's funny that we met because he wasn't planning on getting into a relationship. Judging by his comments online, that was a lie, and he came here to look for a traditional wife. 3. Surprisingly, he never actually told me that he wanted a traditional relationship. He doesn't do anything that's considered traditional in my culture either. I work hard for my own money and go to university, so I don't want to be a housewife or stay-at-home mum in the near future. We've talked about this, so he knows. What worries me is that someone online told him to start a relationship and then try to make it more traditional over time. I don't know if that's what he's trying to do or if he changed his mind. I have no way of knowing, and I don't want to take the risk of wasting my time. 4. He works at an IT company, allegedly. I have never been to his workplace, so I have no proof of this. It might be my naivety to think that it's true, but we have a lot of companies like this in my country and a lot of foreign workers in IT in the capital city, so who knows? 5. Traditional woman and traditional relationship can mean different things in different countries depending on cultures and social norms. He wants a traditional woman by American standards, but that's not the same as what we consider a traditional woman here. It's pretty clear from his online comments that he has no clue about the difference. It's offensive because it shows that he knows nothing about our culture and history and is just relying on stereotypes and outdated assumptions. 6. Some people in the comments tried to justify his desire for a traditional wife, stating that European women should be happy and understanding about this. But what does he bring to the table? Why should a traditional Central European woman choose him instead of a man from our country who speaks our language, knows our customs and traditions, grew up in our culture, and respects us according to our standards? To imply that I should be grateful that an American man chose me, like I'm some product, is offensive and makes me look like I'm inferior. Very weird logic, sorry. 7. Some people commented that my post was rage bait or fake because of my English, or because Central European women won't think like this. This just proves the ignorance that some people have about my country. Women here have careers, open their own businesses, or learn to become doctors, lawyers, beauticians, chefs, etc., etc. Most of us in younger generations have modern mentalities, except some villagers. But villagers probably won't go for an American man who doesn't know a thing about our country. Most of us learn a second language when we're 6 to 8 years old. My niece literally goes to a bilingual kindergarten and learns 2 languages at the age of 3. So I'm not sure why it's so far-fetched that people here speak English well. We're not some idiots who have no idea about the modern world. Most of us speak at least 1 or 2 foreign languages, usually English and German, sometimes Spanish, except the boomers and Gen X. They had to learn Russian back in the day. I also used an app to double-check my grammar, guilty as charged. And to the person who said that Central European countries are basically the same as England or France, It sounds like someone failed their history class. Please don't be ignorant and educate yourself. 8. I told my boyfriend, ex now, that I would like to break up with him. We had a small conversation on the phone, and I told him that I wasn't in a position to continue the relationship for personal reasons. At first, he was confused and tried to convince me not to break up, but then he accepted it. 9. To the comments that suggested it, and thank you for the idea by the way, I posted my story in local groups so that other women can be aware of this whole passport bro thing, and hopefully not fall victim to men like this. As expected, they found the whole thing disgusting and were grateful for the heads up. We're not here for others' enjoyment and to fulfill some submissive wife fantasy of someone who looks at us as stereotypes rather than individuals with varying personalities and preferences. 10. I'm not against foreigners or mixed couples. My brother-in-law is Arab, speaks my language, and knows my culture. We also speak some Arabic and know and respect his culture too. He didn't come here as a sex tourist, but as an actual worker who wanted to change his life. If you go to a country, go because you're interested in it and want to learn about a new culture or have some great opportunities, not because you want to desperately lie to women just so that you can get into a relationship or get some sex. I can't speak for everyone in my country, but most people won't tolerate this behavior and will judge passport bros negatively. It's hypocritical to want a traditional wife, but constantly move from country to country and woman to woman. That behavior definitely isn't considered traditional, at least not in my country. If you want casual relationships, that's fine because there are women here who want the same, but just be honest about it. Thank you again for all the comments, explanations, and advice. They were eye-opening and really helpful. Even though I'm disappointed and feel a bit used, I'm grateful that I know the whole truth now. We live and we learn, I guess. In the comments, Clueless-ish says, well done. I read your original post and got very frustrated at some of the comments, mainly from Americans who seem to think that women in Europe are somehow backwards. I would say generally women in Europe are very strong and independent. Of course, it varies in different regions, but I couldn't name one country where the women are submissive. I'm American, and a lot of men are just dumb. Girl in Belgium, and I confirm that if a man tells you that women must submit, he had better run very, very quickly and hide on another planet. You described all European women in your point 7. Even if my country is in Western Europe, it's exactly the same thing. I wish you all the best. I'm picturing a gang of 6-foot-tall Flemish ladies on bikes furiously chasing some dude down the cycle paths. All my Belgian pals are intimidatingly well-educated. I would love to see an American try a passport bro spiel on one. Like, what do they have to offer that local guys don't? Misogyny and an unwillingness to learn the local language? Yeah, I'm Spanish and live in Poland, and as far as passport bros are concerned, both countries are exactly the same. They are not wanted, and they are in for a surprise if they think they'll find trad wives here. I'm honestly amazed by the number of commenters who seem to believe that Europe beyond the very far western area is some sort of even more conservative version of the old Soviet bloc. You should be happy he chose you. Why? She's doing great for herself, but these creeps are acting like life in vague location in Europe is obviously subpar, and everyone's walking around without shoes, being all illiterate and eating turnip tops. It's just so very, very dumb. A few years ago, while in Prague, a friend from a southern US state living in Europe for a few years at that point was convinced that no one in Czechia could afford blenders because they were a luxury item. The verbal smackdown someone who overheard gave her was epic. Yeah, I mean, I don't want to put it on all Americans here or anything, but my takeaway from a lot of this is I've been watching a lot of TikToks lately and reading stuff online where it's like a lot of Americans will go to other countries and they will have been told their whole life that America is the best country in the world and everywhere else isn't as good as America. But then people from these countries will have a very negative view of America entirely. And they'll be like, no, that's a lie. It actually kind of sucks over there compared to here. We can indeed afford blenders over here in Czechia. Who told you that rubbish? But yeah, going back to the story itself, it was obvious that the breakup was going to happen. It's good that she just said personal reasons in that and left it very vague. I think that was spot on. That was the right decision to make. If you do want to have a laugh at some of these passport bros and kind of understand more about where they're coming from and the little communities they have, I do encourage you to go look them up on Reddit. It's so weird that people live like this. They really listen to Andrew Tate and his brother's version of reality where they're like, all Eastern European women are supermodels, and they're the only kind of women that I'll date in my life. And it leads to a lot of really dumb and ignorant people doing things like this. But I'm okay with that because it's good content and I like laughing at them. Our next post is by user Ryoshi Lian, titled, Am I the asshole for not stopping my wedding after the death of a family member? For a bit of context, I've been no contact with my family. They were verbally abusive, and as soon as I could support myself, I cut them off. The only family member I'm close with is my sister, who is not no contact, but also not close with my family. My family knew that I was getting married that day because of my sister. So I, 25 female, recently got married to my husband, 25 male. On the day of the ceremony, right before the reception, my sister, 27 female, got a call from my mum stating that my paternal grandmother had just passed. My sister informed me of this, and I simply said okay, and carried on with getting ready. As a duty, my sister told me that she needed to go there and support my father. I told her that was fine by me, but also said that she should tell my family, if they ask, that I will neither be stopping my wedding for this, nor will be attending the funeral. She was fine with that, but apparently my family wasn't. I got many angry texts and missed calls from my family that they sent from my sister's phone. I was told by my sister that they were also berating and bad-mouthing me behind my back for caring more about a stupid event, their words, over the passing of a family member. In the comments, Get on Your Knees Girl says, Not the asshole. Why on earth should you care? We take your word for them being assholes and there being good reason for going no contact, so what the hell is anyone expecting here? Informing you moments before the biggest event of your life that something you don't care about has happened? Prioritize your well-being and boundaries. Your choice to continue with your wedding is valid given your past experiences. Communicate openly with your sister and focus on nurturing healthy relationships. Definitely not the asshole. What did they expect you to do? Cancel the reception that was planned probably close to a year in advance for someone whom you hadn't talked to in years? I wouldn't be surprised if we see an update saying that the grandmother didn't really die and that it was all her mother's attempt to disrupt her special day. I would definitely have a talk with your sister about not sharing information with your estranged family. I think OP should use her sister by having her tell the assholes none of them except for sister were invited to the wedding anyway. So, legit, not a loss to OP that a stranger with DNA is dead. That, and they can all go F themselves. Sis wants to be in the middle of that by reporting shit when she shouldn't, then you might as well use her while meeting at mutual places that is not OP's home. Not the asshole. People that we are unrelated to and we don't know of die every day, every passing moment. Multiple people that I don't know of died while I was typing this. If we were to stop everything and attend every funeral that there is, we wouldn't get a thing done. You cut contact and she isn't anything more than a stranger to you. Congrats on the wedding. OP says, Thank you for furthering my belief. I'm no contact with her, and thus she is a stranger to me. Not the asshole. Your wedding would have been well and truly booked and paid for months in advance. If they really cared that much, they could have put the funeral on a different day. It's pretty obvious what has happened here. Your sister has no spine, or just can't stand up to this bullying family, despite all the obvious bullshit that's going on. Like, what she should have done is respected you on your big wedding day and just passed on the information from you that you allowed your sister to pass on, saying that you will neither be stopping your wedding for this nor attending the funeral. That's where it starts and that's where it ends. Your sister did a gigantic faux pas and royally has pissed you off, I'd imagine, by allowing them to use your phone, probably read through all your text messages and communications, Very, very big breach of trust, and then allow them, on top of that, to communicate with you through text and calls, to harass you, to belittle you and your wedding, what should have been an amazing day, would be soured by these absolute dickheads getting onto you, which you rightfully cut off, and your sister was too weak to stand up to them. And yes, I know it's mean to say that. Yes, I'm a dickhead for saying that she's weak, but come on. This is someone that has grown up with these people, that understands these people and knows how they operate, knows what they're going to do, should be ready for that, should be there to protect you because they're going to get cut off if they don't protect you and they don't do the right thing. I'd be so pissed off and upset if I was you in this situation that my sister would betray me like that and allow me to get abused when I've put distance between myself and an abusive family. I don't blame you if you cut her off after this. It's just unacceptable. And now, on to the update. Hello again, everyone. Thank you so much for your wishes regarding my marriage and your advice. I have stopped sharing most of my personal information and about my life with my sister. You have helped me realize that she was just fueling the fire further. I hope someday we can reconcile, but for now, she will stay out of my business and I will keep her out of it. Just know that I couldn't respond to everyone's comments, but I have read them. In the comments, Rohini Rambles says, I was fully expecting that the person was alive and well, and the family lied about the death solely to screw with OP and get her to cancel her wedding purely to spite her. Quote, they used my sister's phone to send the messages and to call me. As much as I hope OP and her sister can reconcile one day, OP was absolutely right to cut her off. Everything she did in this situation was a huge breach of trust. I agree. What she did is a break of trust, especially with what OP has been through. Absolutely. The way we all are with our phones, it's highly unlikely that someone grabbed a rag and chloroformed her sister just to pry the phone out of her lifeless hands for the sole purpose of berating OP. We all know that her sister willingly handed over her phone and likely volunteered it. Well, if you're so mad at her, tell her yourself. Hands over her phone so they leave her alone? Based on her family's reaction, it's hard to imagine why she would ever have gone no contact with them to begin with, right? She could have replied, yes, egg donor, I am prioritizing a stupid event over a stranger's death. They are dead. They are not going to know whether I'm there or not. But the 250 people in this wedding hall right now sure would. How will they be able to eat cake if I'm not there to cut the first slice? Bye. I Don't Like Rice says, quote, your utter lack of concern over the death, if it wasn't faked just to screw with your wedding, is not a good look. People who had a good family upbringing will never understand what it's like to have a family that is so bad that you seriously don't care if one of them passes. They don't understand how fortunate they are. My paternal grandmother hated me and made no attempt to hide it. I didn't care at all when she died. I played nice while my grandmother was still alive, but remained low contact with them. As soon as she passed, I went no contact with all but 2 cousins. The rest, cousins, aunts, and uncles, majority of them are just awful. This is your green flag to absolutely low contact the shit out of people that don't deserve to be in your life, because as they say, blood is not thicker than water in this instance. Water is a lot nicer than blood. Go find your own friends and family if there are dickheads like these that abuse you. Obviously easier said than done, I understand that, but, look out for yourselves. Anyway, guys, that's where I'm going to wrap up today's episode. I do hope you enjoyed. If you did, let me know what you thought of it in the comments down below, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.